I thought, well, you set yourself up for failure here, my friend. Welcome to episode 4 of the Frugal Firearms Podcast, the podcast designed to help you get the most for your shooting dollar. Get more entertainment, get more pleasure, get more value. I'm here with my co-host, Ken. Ken, say hello to our listeners.
Hello, listeners. I'm glad to hear that you're coming back and listening to us, and I hope you're enjoying it.
Yeah, in a rapidly expanding show, thank you to our new listeners out there. If you haven't gone back and listened to the extensive catalog of previous episodes, please do so. There's value in listening to those as well. But moving forward, we said we're going to have a steady diet of guests, and that is what we're having today as well. Today, we're going to be welcoming on Marcus and Durk from Modern Spartan Systems, who are going to be talking about their really broad catalog of products, not just gun lubrication, but other products that help you clean your gun and even do things like help you clean your glasses. And we're going to talk about why their products in particular, as opposed to the myriad and universe of other lubrication products out there, are the ones that you want to consider. And Ken, I think you've got experience in this area, and what do you expect to hear from these guys?
Well, I'm particularly excited about one of their products, their carbon destroyer product. I deal with a lot of older firearms and firearms sometimes that haven't been necessarily well cared for. And that particular product is excellent about helping to remove fouling that might have occurred over the last several years, or in many cases, century or more of firearms ownership.
So now, I told everyone that we were going to do a show on lubrication products, and this is that show. And why would I want them on so early in the evolution of the podcast? It's because I experienced something that I never thought I would. I put one of their products in my car. And why my car? Because this isn't an automotive show. Shouldn't I be talking about guns? But I have a lot more data on the mileage of my car. Now, as we've alluded to before, I drive a 10-cylinder Audi that's a very thirsty engine. And I've kept records on that car ever since I bought it. I know exactly the relationship between average speed and mileage, which most people don't know. And I also know that that relationship is something that's predictable on that car, that's very well controlled. And since I had so much data, I thought, if I take their accuracy oil, which is the product that we're really going to focus on today, and I try to get enough data to be statistically significant to a mechanical engineer like myself, I'm going to spend an awful lot of time and money on rounds, and I'm not convinced I'm going to get anything. So I thought, well, low risk proposition, I'll put it in the car. I didn't expect to get much because I've seen these claims before. I've used engine additives before. Why would this one be different? Well, let me tell you guys, it was. I put it in the car as soon as I went to Vegas for the SHOT Show, just to have it soak in the car for a nice long drive. And it's been in the car ever since. And at first I was getting improvements in mileage for every given speed, initially about 2.5%. Now, that was more than I expected, but it was statistically significant because, again, I know the car so well. But that number's been increasing. And now I'm seeing numbers 6-7% increase in mileage. So when you talk about frugal firearms, saving money, well, why don't we save some money for ammunition or going to the range by saving gas in our car? And by the way, save money on those engine repairs too. Because I'm here to tell you, I read the testimonials. I didn't really believe them. But now I'm putting my reputation out there saying it's real. And I am evidence, and I will share the evidence with anyone who wants to see it, that their products do what they say and within the boundaries of what they say. So I want to turn the floor over to our guests, Marcus and Durk from Modern Spartan Systems, and let them run with it and tell you guys why you want their products. Marcus and Durk, the floor is yours, sir.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Craig and Ken, and appreciate being on your show. The old commercial motor oil, it doesn't apply to our stuff. We're so overwhelmingly different, significantly different, where we can impact friction and protect metal and stop wear, and how our chemistry works is extremely unique. And by the way, Craig, it's always good to win over an engineer because you guys are tough cookies, but when you're on board, and we like that. So,
and I forgot to mention too, Dirk, or I'm sorry, Marcus, that that was the reason I bought the product. And just so listeners know, I wasn't given the product. I bought it with my own money. And I bought it because on another podcast where I initially heard Marcus talking, he talked about the fact that engineers will be your worst critics and your worst enemies until you win them over. And I'm an engineer, a mechanical engineer, and not trying to be elitist, but I was also among the most skeptical people. And when you laid down that challenge, saying that once they're won over, they're your best friends and your best advocates, I thought, well, you set yourself up for failure here, my friend. And the fact is you did not fail. You succeeded. And that is why we wanted you on the show. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to get that backstory out there. And you were talking about the fact that it's not just about the old technology of just oil, like this oil's better than that oil, or my oil's better than your oil. Oil is just the carrier. It's something underneath the oil that is actually doing the work.
Yeah, we talk about in our branding that it's different chemistry and different results. And that's what you have to really think outside the box. It's a paradigm shift that our product really is not oil. It's really a metal treatment and metal conditioner that will change really the performance of many things that have to do with friction.
Yeah, the oil is just the carrier. It's important, and the type of oil and how we have designed the product is really important. It's thin, but people look at it and they go, oh, it's so thin, how can it do anything? Well, the oil has nothing to do with the friction reduction. The oil, like I said, is just the bus, and the little people get out of the bus, that's the molecules that are going to bond onto the metal. And when they do that, they're not permanent, but they're there for a good long time. They're very tough bonds. And so when that happens, you get the benefits primarily of 90% less friction, which is like a magnitude difference. And anybody that has any questions or wants to understand it, we got videos on the website where we tested. I had other guys test on a Timken bearing machine, the friction reduction compared to all the things we compete against. Not everything we compete against is shown on the video, but a lot of the good ones are up there. And those are good products, but they're nothing like ours, completely different. And we kill them. We destroy them where we're cutting the friction. You watch it, and even if you don't know what a Timken bearing machine is, when you watch it, you'll understand it. You'll get it really quick. And so when you can do that, and you can leave a low stick surface on the metal, almost like it's not Teflon, but like think of Teflon going on a frying pan. Nothing can really stick to it, right? It comes off. You can burn stuff, but it comes off real easy. So when you cut that friction, you get benefits. The version of our product, the TVT that you're talking about, that went in your car, which is sounds like a great car, does benefits like improved gas mileage, lower heat. You can easily double your oil life, and you can easily probably triple it, but we say double, and things just last longer, run cooler, run better. They cut the sound down. Lots of people have a lot of sound issues. They put it in there and it quiets the engines. And I can tell you stories, like even one of my good friends has a big company. He buys our stuff in a drum, and he's got a lot of equipment, heavy equipment, and he bought a dump truck. When you're driving that dump truck back up from Indianapolis to the Chicago area, he said it was so loud, he almost turned around and brought it back. When he got in there, put the TVT in, and it cut that sound by, just a few minutes by 50 to 75%. So you can see it. One other important thing on the TVT, and we can't warranty this, but because the friction reduction, the lubricity is now in the metal, not in the oil. If you lost your oil, and Dirk can actually tell a little story, but maybe he'll get in trouble with his wife. But if you lose your oil, you could probably run a vehicle for a couple 100 miles with no oil in it. That's how good the friction reduction is. So how that plays out in guns is something completely unique. Go ahead, Dirk, if you want to explain.
So what's interesting about it is it's a non-petroleum product. And so it immediately steps out of the game of all the other type of gun oils out there that are petroleum products. So what it really does is there's molecules in there that bond to the metal at the ionic level. It's the strongest bond out there. And that bond actually, I think about it if you are like grill on a flat top, right? You're seasoning that metal, and when you put the oil on it, it's not a one-time deal because it's seasoned it. With our product, it actually doesn't create that fake layer of carbon on it like your grill or a cast iron thing. It actually increases the Rockwell hardness of the metal and performs like in gears. The gears perform better because they're stiffer and harder. You're going to have reduced drag and things like that. In a firearm, we translate this friction to friction reduction in your slides into the friction of the bullet down your barrel. When you have less friction, less heat, your barrel, especially long-range shooters, your barrel is not going to heat up that much, and you're going to have tighter groups. And we've had many long-range shooters, precision coaches, things like that, who have done many studies and, put it in a spreadsheet, standard deviations, and showed students of theirs themselves to show how by treating your firearms with this product, you are going to see increase in velocity, better barrel life, less friction, and running actually cooler barrel. We've seen people actually run thermals on their barrels and seeing how it actually cools things. So you have to step outside the box and go, hey, maybe there's something out there that is just not like everything else, because it's not.
and let's talk about that too, because you're going really to getting the message out. I don't know if you know this about advertisers, but advertisers typically don't target older guys. And the reason is that it's ineffective, because most older guys, women too, their minds are set. They don't change their mind easily. It's not that they're closed-minded, but they're happy in the space that they're in, and they don't really expect that there's anything new that's going to be revolutionary, because they've been burned so many times by things that claimed that, and it didn't work. So when I saw it was posted on your website, and by the way, I'm going to encourage people to go to the website, and at the end, by the way, we're going to mention that we do have a coupon code that they've generously offered that we'll discuss. But when you start looking at the evidence behind this, you had a precision shooter you mentioned. So we talk about this being the Frugal Firearms podcast. Well, that doesn't mean the Cheap Firearms podcast. That means people who want to save money and recognize that they have other things to spend money on.
Right.
If you take a guy who's a precision shooter and within 30 rounds, which isn't much at all, increases his or decreases actually his group size by 58%, that's significant and that's fast. If you have someone who puts a barrel blank on essentially a Timken bearing machine, and within seconds of running this machine puts a couple drops of your oil on and can't gall the metal, where the other ones fail right out of the gate on an actual barrel, that's impressive. And it's because it's not just another oil that's flashing off because it hits the flash point and vaporizes.
Right.
Now, I can't measure it. I'm not taking apart my engine to find out how much difference and where there's going to be.
Right.
But when you hear other people talking back on the firearm side who are competitive shooters where slide velocity matters, and putting it on the rails and increasing slide velocity and therefore cutting down the cycle time on the gun in ways that are measurable and can make the difference between winning and losing. I mean, all these are benefits that I don't hear other people making these claims, for one thing, because maybe they can't. But, what other things have you experienced that say,
right,
this is where you should go?
So kind of extreme temperature wise, if we've had people on the extreme colds, a lot of people have petroleum products and they just start gumming up in cold weather, or they lock up. And we have videos on our site actually of a gentleman that took his AR, seasoned it with our accuracy oil, threw it in a snowbank, minus 50 below. Okay. If that doesn't lock up firearms, nothing will. The next day, he came out and rips off a whole bunch of rounds like nothing has happened. In extreme heat on the other side of it, we've had people that actually, some of the large infantry people run this through some of their
real guns.
Yeah, real guns, right? High temperatures and things like that. And they do not have the gumming up that a lot of other petroleum-based lubricants do when the guns get super hot. Plus, they also are running cooler. And so that's something, actually, we had the Danish military pretty interested in the product because of that fact.
Now, Marcus, didn't you tell me, Marcus, that, going to that point, Durk, Marcus, didn't you tell me once that the genesis of the product actually went into the Vulcan gun, which is in the Warthog?
Yeah, well, that's the carbon destroyer.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah, the carbon destroyer, which you need to clean the surface, like surface prep. Like there's a lot of cleaners out there. Our cleaner significantly stands out compared to anything else. And we get told this over and over. People love our chemistry for the cleaner. The carbon destroyer was initially designed to replace the high VOC solvents that they were using to clean the gun ports and the engines of fighter jets. And so our chemistry that's the history of it, was developed for that particular purpose. So this chemistry, even though it's a water-based, safe, green chemistry, all our stuff is safe to use too. Why, if you got wives that don't want you clean in the house, you could clean in the house and you might not even know you're doing it.
Wait a minute. Wait. I love the smell of the original formula of break free. So we're saying we're getting away from that now?
You could still put that behind your ears, Craig.
Well, I ran out of it. And you're telling me that now, remember, talking to old guys here, caustic isn't better. And the more caustic, the better it is. That formula doesn't work anymore?
Something I'm going to let loose on your show a little bit, just a little bit, because we're not quite ready yet. But our chemistry is so good, I found out, and there's a big story, but I won't get into that in the firefighting industry, cancer is a big problem. It's a big growing problem. And the firefighter that I made very good friends with, and now I'm working quite intensely with, told me that when they clean their gear, they clean the carcinogens with a carcinogenic cleaner. And I said, that's insane. I said, we'll come up with a product for you. Now, our product that we developed for them has already tested, did great, is a version of the carbon destroyer. So that product, a version of it is going to be used probably in a big way in the firefighting industry because we want to keep people safe. So that product is something you want to get all the carbon out. And if you put it on a gun that you think is already clean, like if you clean it and you go, oh, we're all good, don't need to clean it anymore, put some more stuff on and let it sit for a couple minutes, maybe agitate a little bit, and you'll see more gunk come out of the metal almost every time. And that freaks people out to go, I thought I cleaned it. Well, you didn't get it super clean. We're super cleaning beneath the surface. And that way it clears the road for the accuracy oil, and the molecules have more place to bond onto for the accuracy oil. So you want to use both of those products together, and that's a phenomenal 1-2 punch.
Right. Craig, how many times have you seen guys, put a couple drops of their oil on a swab and run that through a patch and run that through their gun, and they're like, oh, this is really doing a whole lot. They've got 2 drops on there, and they think, hey, this has done a whole lot. We really, in our cleaner, we really say, hey, don't be shy with it, because what we're trying to do is actually let the chemicals actually do the work on the metal and not just rubbing something through it and friction on it. So again, it's a different chemical, or different chemistry, different results, a little bit different process than just putting a couple drops on. We really want it to soak in, give it time to use that chemical reaction. I mean, my dad had a 16 gauge that he hadn't cleaned for 25 years, and the stuff it was just ridiculous running out. We've had muzzle loaders. The carbon destroyer works fantastic on muzzle loaders or revolvers. Like a Super Blackhawk, there gets to be a lot of carbon built up on that revolver and works fantastic. If you give it just a little bit of time, don't just put it on and quick rub it or scrape it off like you do with all the other stuff that's out there. I say the word stuff.
That's but that's fair though, because if categorically, I'm not criticizing other products, but if categorically they fundamentally work differently, then it is okay to just lump them together if what you do is in fact fundamentally operating at a different level. I don't mean that in the physical. Well, I guess at a physical level, it is operating differently, but the methodology by which it works is different. Because again, my skepticism was you're not going to get molecular binding without either electrolysis, without very high temperatures and heat in a constant environment, without some other methodology of preparing the metal. But the evidence, the pragmatic side is the evidence suggests that that's exactly what is happening. Why don't you talk for a second, Durk, about, again, nobody is recommending that we run our gear sets dry or that we don't lubricate things. But there were a couple examples that kind of speak to the product and the fact that it does bind to the metal when they did run the product. When they did, I think it was a gearbox you mentioned, right? That was run dry and ran cooler even without lubrication.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine owns a gearboxes that he makes for Aaron's tractors and Aaron's trucks and things like that. And he ran it in and he did a test. Took two brand new gearboxes. Both had their regular oil in it. And in one of them, he put the additive, not just replace oil, but put the additive in it in a small portion. It wasn't 50-50, just a few ounces per gallon, right? And what he did is he seized them for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and got the temperatures up, dropped the oil on them, both, and then looked at what happened. And the one without the additive in seized up very fast, within less than 5 minutes. And the other one was running 2.5 hours later with no oil in it, and it was still running 30 degrees cooler when the other one had oil in it. And I said, Alex, that's great, but can you put the screws to it? You're from Missouri, you like to break things and that kind of stuff. And so what he did is he sent me a video and he kept turning up the RPMs on it. And his gearboxes, he's like, my brother and I can't believe this. We're running twice the rated capacity that these gearboxes are, and they're running 30 degrees cooler than they did with our oil. So
yeah, that's just incredible. I mean, that's just ridiculous because, I mean, that just flies in the face of so much other experience that says, if you even run low on oil, let alone run out, you're going to scram whatever it is and it's over.
Clean it very well with the carbon destroyer. You finish it up with the copper and lead destroyer because, again, those are two different types of chemicals, and you want to take those out separately. The carbon first, then the copper and lead, and then treat your metal that'll fill in the pores and condition that metal with the accuracy oil. And that accuracy oil isn't a one-time deal that you run it through. It's really a shoot, run some more oil through it, shoot again, about 5 rounds, run some more oil through it, shoot again, and you're seasoning that barrel.
So we make sure though, but we don't want to make the case that in perpetuity you're still going to have to be adding in the oil. What you're really doing is you're trying to seat it in the pores, and then at some point you can back off of continuing to add oil. I just want to make that clear to people so that they don't think that they're constantly swapping their barrels every 3 to 5 rounds.
So Craig, let me explain the process to you, which is something I know you're interested in. When you get your gun, if it's a brand new gun, you want to shoot about 50 rounds first through it with nothing in it, not our stuff. It's kind of it's a basic break-in to pull off burrs and things like that. Once you do that, then you want to do our break-in. If it's an older barrel, then you're good. But if it's brand new, do it that way. So you clean everything from the trigger to everything to the tip of the barrel, right? And then with the carbon destroyer, you pull everything out of there. We also have a copper lead destroyer, which is a really good formula as well. And so you clean it and then you lube everything. Every piece of metal inside that gun, you want our stuff on, including the trigger, because it will lighten the pull on the trigger too. And it will protect it and everything else. And then when you do a one-time conditioning on the barrel, what Dirk was saying, you shoot a couple rounds, you reapply the accuracy oil, shoot a couple more rounds, do that a total of 5 applications. That'll fully saturate your barrel. And if you did that and you're looking through a chronograph, you'll see your velocity and other numbers improve quite a bit. And it depends on the gun and the bullet. So it might be a little bit, it might be a lot, but it's going to improve. And then you get all those other benefits. So then after that, when it's time to clean your gun, then you repeat, but you don't need to do that barrel break-in. And I'll tell you something else really important. One of the major benefits for people is a lot of people don't like to clean their guns. Well, guess what? Because of once you've done that on with our stuff, you can go probably 2 to 3 times longer before you need to clean that gun out. And when you do clean it out, because everything's sitting on the top, it's going to cut the cleaning time at least in half. A lot of times it's even easier than that.
And money is time. So and time is money. So that actually works out pretty well if we're saving time and making it easier and increasing the enjoyment factor. Just because, do I even want to take this gun to the range today because it's a bear to clean, and is it even worth taking? And maybe
and as a competition shooter, Craig and Ken, I mean, do you guys see a difference in the barrel lives of your firearms? And I know long range shooters that I know see that they run so many shots through that they see a deterioration in their barrels.
Yeah, one of the guns I have is a 22-250, which is a round, which basically I think it's one of the fastest factory rounds that you get out there. With a light bullet, around 40 grains or so, you can push that velocity up to 4,000 plus feet per second, which is screaming fast. So I'm going to be trying this out, and we're going to set up the Craig's chronograph, and we're going to run it a few rounds with one way, and we're going to run it a few rounds after we've seasoned the barrel with the product and see what we can see.
Yeah, I think you're going to see some really interesting results. And you take your baseline and you compare it to after your 5th application on there, and you're going to see some nice improvements. And we got Charlie Melton and Brad Starr. Charlie Melton's a really hero Navy SEAL sniper instructor. Trained guys like Chris Kyle and Marcus and Morgan Luttrell, people like that. And he and Brad owns Performance Guns, and he's one of the top custom sniper rifle makers in the world. And those guys did a couple years back, they did a 5,000 25-yard shot, and they're big, huge fans of our stuff, and they'll tell you that makes a difference. And they're obviously, we're not the main cause, but we're a factor. And so you got people like that, and Rex Tibor, and again, lots of snipers and really high-end shooters, a lot of competition shooters, a lot of hunters, people all over the place that know what they're talking about. When they use our stuff, like you're finding out, they love it. And yeah, Ken, I'd be really interested to see what kind of results you get when you're doing it, but I think you're going to be very happy.
So let's talk for a second about value here. Your products are not the cheapest out there, and then again, we are comparing apples to oranges in a lot of ways. How much you're getting feedback though, apparently on increasing the longevity of the gun? I mean, because the cost of your product pales in comparison to a worn out part on a rare gun. It compares very favorably to worn out pistons on my V10. I think
about a competition shooter that makes money off what they do.
That's right.
It's the same thing. I want to just give as the marketing guy here, our website is in the process of being updated and changed. But so if you go to it, it might be a little awkward and chunky right now. You can Google or YouTube a lot of different things, just looking for Modern Spartan. A lot of people have done reviews on it. But Marcus, what's the promo code? I just wanted to give that out to Craig and the listeners to make sure that we have that before we run out of time.
Oh, the program code is FFP, right?
Exactly.
Frugal Firearm Podcast. FFP for 10% discount. Oh, and let me add in something before I forget too. The value, one of the value added benefits to this stuff, besides it being green and safe to use, and you can use it around kids and pets, and you can use it inside, and your wife's not going to kick you out of the house. But one of the other benefits is if you get something that's got corrosion, not only will it protect from corrosion, but you can use our stuff to remove the corrosion. And it might take a little while, but we can rehab guns and fishing reels and things with our product because of how the modules work to get underneath the corrosive oxidizers, and they'll push them off. And so you can restore old guns. And we've had people take guns they found in the swamp that they said will never do anything, but they learned about our stuff. They used it, and it's like brand new gun. So yeah,
fantastic. Yes. So look us up, find out more stuff, follow our Facebook page, our Instagram. If you have questions, you will hit me directly on that. And if I don't have the answer for you, I will go to some of our pro shooters or some of our coaches that know way more than I would ever dream of for that information and get that out to you, because we really want to have that communication. Again, just don't say it's snake oil, because that's what we hear a lot. You got to really give it a try. I mean, really just give it a try and think, hey, this is a different chemistry, different results. And just like Craig has experienced, not only do you see it in your vehicles, but you can, we've got the product for firearms. We've also got product for knives. We also, Craig, I don't know if you've seen that yet, but we do have the accuracy oil has been blended with the red lithium grease. And a lot of people like putting that in their rails, that red lithium. It's called the accuracy grease.
That's going to be one of the next things I'm going to order that too. And you even have something for glass cleaning. I mean, of all the things, I wouldn't have expected that to be in there. That's certainly not accuracy oil, but
no, but think about that for your optics.
Yeah, Craig, it's a brand new, we've upgraded. It was a great formula to begin with, and we've actually upgraded that again. So it's going to be even better. It's gentle and mild, but you can use it on high-end optics. You can use it on your glasses, sunglasses, smartphones. You can use it on the exterior of your gun, all that. So the best thing to get, I would recommend people get the Starter Kit Plus, because that's got all the products in one nice, neat package. It's I call it a click box, so it's easy to carry around and move, but it's got the accuracy oil, accuracy grease, the carbon destroyer, the copper lead destroyer, and the crystal clear lens cleaner. It's all in one nice package, so it's a really good value.
And I'll add that for the listeners, it's not just the starter kits that are available. If you want larger quantities, I went ahead and bought the accuracy oil in the large bottle right out of the gate because it sure seemed like it was going to do the job. And if you want to try it, definitely start with the starter kit or a sampler kit and then move up from there. But I've been, again, very impressed with, and I told you up front, I was going to be the hardest guy to convince, and you convinced me. and now I'm all about it, and I'm gonna tell everyone, not that we talk about lubrication at parties and things like that very often, but every time I get the opportunity to have the conversation, I'm going to have that conversation and push
absolutely
forward.
Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys.
It's about value, right? So you get so many benefits out of it that if you know what you're looking at, and you get accuracy and reliability in all environments, and you get easy cleanup time, you get longer barrel life, and on and on and on. This is really, you're investing in something that's way more compared to anything else on the market. So it's really making your stuff better.
And value does not have to be monetary. Value could be, I simply got more enjoyment out of the money and time I spent. And that right there would be enough. So I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. Any closing comments at all? Ken and I will take it from here, and we'll mention one more time that discount code that you generously offered. But the floor is yours. And if you have anything else to add,
Dirk,
ModernSpartanSystems.com.
Yes, indeed.
And I would just say do the same thing. Try our products. We got great stuff. We got other things that we're highly involved in too, like our specialty coatings for firearms and that. If you're an FFL or you're a gunsmith, definitely come, get involved with our stuff. It will really make a big difference. And if you use it, you'll love it. That's just how it works.
All right. Thanks again, guys.
For having us on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Well, I appreciate Dirk and Marcus coming on today with us. And I'd like to use some of the lubrication products, particularly on my 22-250. I'm going to check out the velocity, potential increases there.
You don't mind spending the money on that to find out how many rounds we're going to have to use to find that out? I mean, it doesn't sound like many, but this is on your dime, Ken.
I know. I'm a reloader, and the thing about it is it does use the standard 5.56 projectile. So it's kind of like the 22-250 is kind of like a 223 or 5.56 on steroids. And I'm very much looking forward to see what sort of velocity increases we can see there.
Yeah, we're going to have to get out to a greater range than we typically shoot at because our range is limited to only 200 yards. So maybe we'll chronograph it at the barrel, but we'll want to see, what those long range groups will do. How far have you shot that gun before?
Oh, probably a little over 400 yards, which in many ways is the limit, maybe out 500, depending on the bullet weight. Lighter bullet weights are faster. Heavier bullet weights can go out a little bit farther. That 22-250 round was selected by certain countries as being their sniper round, or counter sniper round, I suppose you call it, because of its incredible speed. You're getting upwards of 4,000 feet per second. And if you're going to take a shot like that, you want that round to get there as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and at those kind of rounds, those kind of speeds, you'll get a lot of throat erosion.
Absolutely. That's where the lubrication, going to really take a hit.
Yeah. Maybe we need a bore scope to take a look at the condition of your barrel before and after. That would be an interesting project.
It would be, and I'll have to look into possibly getting a bore scope someday.
Or if you're a manufacturer of bore scopes and you would like to be featured on the show, then we would be more than happy to review
evaluate your product. Absolutely,
and if it meets our standards and something we like, then we'll feature you on the show as well. Hey, by the way, something that we always like to include in the show, but we're going to expand a little bit on this time. Is this a legal show, Ken?
This is not a legal show in the fact that we are not lawyers. No.
Right. And so anything that we say is
strictly our opinion. Yes.
And not the opinion of the podcast networks across our representation. But one thing we'd like to add too is, any of the products that we talk about, while we believe in them and we're willing to take any appropriate risk to use those products, you have to evaluate your own risk as well. Just because we say it's good doesn't mean it's the perfect product for you. Now, I feel very confident that the Modern Spartan Systems products are right for a very, very broad spectrum of the shooting universe. But at the same time, you're responsible for doing your own homework on these things. You're responsible for the research, and you're responsible for ultimately using them responsibly, just as you would if you were carrying a gun, right? You're responsible for every round that goes down range. Don't look, if things don't go right, don't look to blame anyone but yourself. Isn't that the case, Ken?
Absolutely the case. One of the things is you cannot call a round back. After it has left the barrel, it's going to go where it's going to go, and you are responsible for that.
Yeah. So it'll be the same for, that and all the products that we talk about. Just take that individual responsibility. Another topic that I wanted to address was the types of products that we have featured on the Frugal Firearms podcast. Now, understand that a lot of those products, this being a value-centered show, are going to be things that are made overseas. A lot of them are going to come from China, to be quite honest. And while Ken and I both absolutely agree and support the idea that you should be buying American wherever you can, it doesn't necessarily mean the product that is going to fit your budget and fit your needs is going to be a U.S.-based product. I had a conversation some time ago with one of the big optics manufacturers, and they pointed out to me that even among companies that you think would be U.S.-based firms, that their products are actually built, at least the glass, overseas. And why? A lot of the problem with that is that glass is a very difficult thing to do in the United States because of various environmental regulations. And our guests from Modern Spartan Systems are in the chemical business. Not an easy thing to do in the United States, but the differentiator here is that they are doing it in the United States, and those are U.S.-made products. So I really want to hopefully get people enthused about buying Modern Spartan Systems products because they are U.S.-based. I'm going to put that link to the ability to save 10% into the show notes. But if you don't go to the show notes, you can still get to their website, which is modernspartansystems.com. And at checkout, use the discount code FFP, short for Frugal Firearms Podcast, and you'll get that 10% and you'll be helping the show. So we're going to be looking forward to having another show coming up relatively soon. There are a couple different opportunities that we have to get guests on. I'm not sure which one's going to be next. What sort of products do you want to talk about coming up in the future here, Ken?
Well, I am a reloader, and there are some ways that people could look into reloading. And I think that would be an area that I would like to talk about because you can literally get into it for, about $100 and possibly, and you can go into the multi-thousands as well. Depends on volume and so forth, but that's something I would like to broach. Maybe a multiple.
How much do you think you've saved on doing reloading as opposed to you mentioned the 22-250 that we're going to try accuracy oil in that rifle on. If you're buying factory loads, how much do you think you'd be spending as a function of reloading them yourself?
I think you could easily save 2/3 of the price of a factory round. And the fact that you can actually dial down a particular round or dial it up for the particular projectile that you have, that is something that you can't get at all in the factory load. So
yeah, we'll have to be careful though, because the engineer in me is seeing all kinds of variables coming at us. So you'll have to dial in a load, and then we're going to have to stick with that particular load for testing the efficacy of accuracy oil. And by the way, once we get that data for our listeners, we're gonna talk about that in a future show and see, did we see a difference? What kind of difference did we see? But keeping in mind that, my data point wasn't a firearms thing, it was my car. But I don't know if I'm saving over $100 a year on a product that costs $30, which was the bottle that I bought. That's a pretty good return on investment. And again, if it makes the life of the car or the gun that much greater, then I can't even measure that number.
Absolutely. And I've even got some ideas about other types of mechanical devices that need lubrication where this type of lubricant would be a benefit. So I'm looking forward to possibly even testing it out there.
Yeah, maybe your reloading press, so you're not getting, trying to use that in lieu of going to the gym for a workout.
Indeed. But reloading presses, at least the ones I have, are very, very good. So
yeah. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you for listening.
All right. Good night, listeners. And I appreciate very much you downloading and listening to us. And if you've got anything you'd like to say, please feel free to email us and we'll try to comment on it the next show. Thank you so much.
And that'll be at Frugal Firearms Podcast, and firearms is plural. So Frugal Firearms Podcast at gmail.com. And don't forget that like, subscribe, and comment, because that helps us grow the show even further. Thanks much.